Let's talk about it. Didn't think this day would come, honestly, like ever, but it has. So, as unfortunate as it is, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the death of Outer Banks. Before I get into everything, let me just talk about my relationship with the show. This show has been my comfort show since 2020, like it has been for quite a lot of us, most of us. The last 24 hours, I've been sitting and contemplating so much about this show, and I started remembering how much this show meant to me and has meant to me. I've talked about it a little bit in my part 1 review, if you want to check that out. And I touched upon about how this show has been there for me this year, especially because I've had a very shitty year and I tend to emotionally rely on my shows and my books a lot for my mental health. And this show has been everything to me this year. It has been on replay every single day. Like, genuinely, I have been watching the show almost every single day. And if I'm not watching the show, I'm checking behind the scenes, I'm checking interviews, I'm checking Twitter. Like, I have been all over the show constantly. It has genuinely been keeping me up and supporting me. And I was thinking and I realized how much this show has been there for me since 2020, in fact, not just this year. Because of everything that's happened for me personally in this year, I forget how hard my life was, even in 2020. I was not doing too well, and this show found me at the right time and held me in the right way. So, truly, I cannot believe that I am sitting here and talking about the worst season of OBX, about the downfall of OBX. I never thought this could happen. None of us did, and yet here we are. So, before we get into the actual details that we're here for, I do want to point out some things that were done well. And I'm not gonna lie, the list is short. I'm not gonna be talking about part 1 too much. I've already talked about it at length in a different video. So, we're diving right in about things that I did enjoy in part 2 up until that finale. I have to say, episode 6 was actually really good with the entire JJ crashing out scene. Like, they did the entire thing, and I think two or three, I think just two one shot scenes. Amazing. All the way from JJ getting up and destroying the town council to getting out of the police car to destroying downtown. So brilliantly done, well shot, well choreographed, music was great, acting was so good. I've always known Rudy Pango is like a great actor. We knew it since we saw him as JJ in season 1, and he really just went all out for these scenes. But that entire thing was done so well, it really got me excited for part 2. It really had my hopes up for part 2. The other thing that I think was done well was that scene with JJ jumping in after Sarah in the storm scene. I will touch about that a little bit more in detail later, but I think that was really done well. I think that scene was like a perfect example about how far JJ will go for his friends, which I don't think we need an example. We've seen that from season 1 itself. But yeah, I really liked that scene. The other scene I liked was Pope killing the guy who killed Terence. It was about time we saw one of them kill someone, to be honest. What else did I like? I liked the 2 second scene with Barry. That's all I have to say for the good stuff. Should we talk about JJ? No, I can't do it yet, to be honest. I'm gonna cry. Genuinely. Let's just talk about the problems that we have. Kiara's family, I talked about this in part 1 about how we needed to see more of her family and her dynamic with her family, because her arc so far has in season 4 has just been about JJ and the Pogues. That's it. And we need an individual storyline for her. Did not happen. Still don't have answers about what happened. They turned them away once they came back to Kildare, and then 18 months later they're cheering for her when they're getting felicitated. And then in the town council episode, they're like hugging her and embracing her. And again, don't see them forever. Kiara's dad fully hates JJ, like intensely hates JJ. And then in that scene when they're escaping to Morocco, he saves him. I'm not even gonna get into it how ridiculously this plotline has been handled. It had so much potential and it's just been ruined. Genuinely, the potential between her and her parents and her parents and JJ, we could have gotten so much there. I also just feel like part 2 just feels like a different show altogether. Like part 1 and part 2 don't feel like they're part of the same season. And I haven't seen the entire season as a whole yet. I don't think I ever will be. I truly don't know if I can rewatch the show, which is wild because I've been watching this show every day for who knows how long. Like, this show has been my comfort show. It's the show I come back to all the damn time for the last 4 years. And now I don't think I can rewatch. So I haven't seen the entire show through, but they really just feel like two different seasons. What the fuck? I also feel like another problem is that it's just been weirdly ad-libbed and weirdly edited. Like season 1 and season 2 also, in fact, they were what they were because of a lot of the improv that happened between all of them, which you can clearly see there's not as much improv happening anymore. The improv especially that was born out of their banter, their chaotic banter, and their genuine friend vibes, which are all missing. Everything is clean cut and scripted, and that's not the dynamic of the folks we signed up for. So everything felt a lot more serious and a lot more choppy in some ways. The Jara marriage, listen, I definitely was one of those people when season 2 first came out who was like, their entire getting married by the stars in the sky and the sea. I was not for it. It was a little too cringe for me, and they were like 16, and like I wasn't against it, I wasn't mad about it, but I was just like, God, I can't get behind this. And I've expressed my concerns about the relationship in my previous video, but season 4 part 1 won me over with the relationship. And OPX genuinely they teased the Jara legal wedding so hard, they played us for it so hard, and it didn't even end up happening. They didn't even legally get married. What was the point? Genuinely, what was the point of that entire sequence? Coming to the pregnancy, I predicted that. I hate that I did. I hate that all of us did. All of us predicted that shit. I'm gonna say I am so 50-50 on this pregnancy plot. Not that it matters because I'm not watching ahead. Like, I am not okay with it in a lot of ways. It doesn't make sense in the OBX world. It doesn't make sense with the Pogues. Their lifestyle isn't for it. I don't think they're ready to be parents yet, which doesn't mean that you can't have kids. Teen pregnancies happen all the time, and in American teen shows always have a plot line like this. So I'm not surprised entirely, but I just don't know if I can get behind this. However, I don't think it was handled too badly. I still think that the amount of shit that Sarah has gone through in part 2, I can't imagine how traumatizing it is for the baby. That's way too stressful. Not realistic, obviously, but OBX has never been fully realistic anyway. I don't think it's been handled all that bad. I don't know. I'm just left with I don't know for the pregnancy. John B asking JJ to be the godfather. Genuinely, I cried when he was suggested it because I was like, this is perfect. And yeah, he may not seem like the perfect candidate for it right now, but neither do they for parents. I know JJ does not seem like the best candidate, but like JJ is the kind of character who would be mad scared about this, but would end up doing a great job anyway. That was supposed to be JJ's plotline with the Godfather plot. It should have been a beautiful moment, and I can understand where their fight came from between John B and JJ and the things that JJ said. It wasn't really an attack on John B, to be honest. It was an attack more on himself. It was coming from a place of fear because he knows what he's been through and what John B's been through. And he was in a really vulnerable, the lowest of lows kind of moment during that time. And I feel like the entire stressful situation between both of them, between JJ and all the rest of the Pogues, like I know a lot of people are not okay with that, but I feel like a moment like that between the Pogues was coming, like 4 seasons and the kind of bullshit you guys have been through. At some point, you all had to snap at each other and get real with each other. However, I do think the Pogue should have been a lot more understanding towards JJ. JJ definitely does not make it easy to be understood, but it's needed. I feel like when we think of the things that John B has gone through and Pope has gone through, and they were in a dark place, the Pogues have understood and shown up for them, and that wasn't happening for JJ. And I was really mad about that because one of the reasons why I saw so much of JJ in me, or myself in JJ, I guess, from season 1 itself, was because he was the kind of character who showed up time and time again for every single one of his friends every single time, like truly loyal to a fault, always uplifting them, being there for them, helping them out. And he was going through so much shit in his own life, but he would never talk about it with the Pokes. Like, genuinely, I don't think we ever saw a moment where the Pokes were truly showing up for JJ in the way they had to, given what his family life was like, but they were always showing concern for John B. Except Kiara here and there, but it wasn't fully ever delved into. And I see so much of that in myself. Like, I will be going through the worst shit possible, and I will, gatekeep that from my friends, I guess, isolate myself, but show up for them instead. And I think this was supposed to be high time when they were like, you know what, we have to check in with JJ, truly sit down, communicate, have a conversation, and talk about this. Because, like I said, this season JJ really went through hell, dude. When you're that close with your friends, you A have to extend some empathy towards them. All of them were just like okay, go, okay, next, okay, whatever. Like where no, not a single conversation between any of them or any kind of acknowledgement, even without saying the words, about how terrifying and terrible a situation this is for JJ. I know, like when you're all hit so low, it is hard to be able to show up for another person that strongly, but it definitely could have still been handled better. John B and JJ are one of my favorite duos to come out of OBX, and we've seen such a great build up of them through all three seasons, even season 3. And the way JJ has extended his empathy towards John B every single time is unmatched. So it just really put me off. Honestly, like it was just depressing to see how JJ was suffering during the entire trip to Morocco, to be honest. When he finally put down the bottle of alcohol and jumped after Sarah, I was like, this is my baby. You can be mad at their behavior, but you have to know that the intentions are not that. Okay? It's that what matters. Intentions, motivations. And as a best friend, they're all best friends. How are you not able to see that? You know, I love that moment. I don't think that was something that was needed done to prove JJ's loyalty to these people or to prove that JJ is in their corner with these people. I liked the scene on the beach with John B and JJ again confirming that they're brothers and stuff like that. I still just wish they could have had a conversation after that about how they fucked up, but hey, you know, we're gonna be there for each other. Nothing. John B didn't even get to say goodbye to JJ. I don't know. I just. Oh my god. Even JJ and Pope, they had such a beautiful friendship. And that last moment between them when Pope says, "Let me save you for once," and he wasn't able to save JJ, I swear. I also quickly want to point out the core four. The last scene we got of them was during the dive, which I honestly, that dive episode was perfect to me. I was rewatching that episode all the time. That's the last core four moment we got. The show was never serious enough to kill a main character. Like I was talking about it, some shows just aren't serious enough to kill off a main character, and they did that. We will never have core four again. We will never have Jiara again. God, I am genuinely so mad. I genuinely have no forgiveness in my heart for this. The OBX fandom was genuinely so loyal. So loyal. We were so loyal to JJ, and I still am. We all still are. This is not hate on JJ. This is a criticism on the people who failed JJ. Like, how do you hit a gold mine like that and then let it go? Continuing with more problems. Shoop, seriously, it's been 4 seasons. How many times are going to repeat the same thing with Shoop doubting them and then getting to know the entire truth and letting them go? And constantly, it's a constant cycle. It's getting tired. I'm honestly so tired of it. Rafe, I'm gonna come to Rafe later. Groff, I'm gonna come to later. We did not need a Ward and Big John part 3, and I feel like Groff is just Ward and Big John and Luke all combined in one. Seriously, like there was no need. Absolutely no need. There's a difference between a plot that is difficult and a plot that's just bad. Quickly want to highlight some plot issues. Groff could have gone back to Morocco alone. None of this would have happened. Why did he steal Rafe's money? Again, none of this would have happened. Unnecessary. How did they have those pictures of the map and like translated pictures and stuff like that? If they had all of that already, why did they need Groff? Why did they need the map from Groff? Unnecessary. If Groff knew where that looking glass was, why did he need JJ to get it? He could have gotten it all on his own, stolen the map, and left. Once again, unnecessary. And what was the need for Pope and Cleo to stay back for the gun scene? I get it was setting up eventually Pope killing Terence's killer, but it makes no sense. They stayed back, like, you guys go ahead, and those people took like an hour to bust down the door and get there. Like, they could have ran with them as well. Those are just some other plot issues, which, if they hadn't happened, JJ would probably be alive right now. And with that, let's come to it. All the issues with JJ's storyline and the reason why OBX is not what it was meant to be. The amount of shit he's gone through in his life. He grew up with an abusive dad and thinking that his real mom left him. That entire house, his entire childhood filled with all that pain, all that trauma, only to find out he has a new family, except most of them are also dead. His real mom is dead. And his new dad is also just as abusive. Quite worse, actually, because he ends up killing him. and then he ends up being manipulated the entire time. The entire time, those I think we spent like 2 episodes where Groff was manipulating JJ to do all these things and stuff like that. And the entire time you could see it, the way he's acted it out. I genuinely felt like, oh my god, my small baby, because you can see how much he doesn't want to trust him, and he doesn't fully trust him, but he's so desperate to trust someone, to have some kind of family, that he's going along with it. It is genuinely heartbreaking to watch all of that, especially as a viewer, when you know right from the get go that he's betraying JJ at every fucking turn, at every little thing that they're doing. It is so heartbreaking to watch that. Making him rob his mom's grave that he just found out exists. I just, God, they seriously, the writer seriously sat down and they were like, what's the worst thing we could possibly do for JJ? And showed all of it happen. Again, I've talked about the perks on understanding him, missed opportunity. Kiara not understanding him. Like season one, Kiara would have been so much more forthcoming with her empathy for him. Like he tells her that Luke just told him all of this, and she's like, "I'm sorry, Jay. That's it, girl. You would have been all over it in season one." I just the way they've handled Jiara in part two is infuriating, especially given how quite decently well it was done in part one. Like, excuse me. Okay, I have a few more things to say. Ignore the messy background, please. I know my table's a mess. I know. Okay. But about the Giara dynamic, I already expressed my disappointment with the actors and all of that. But I wanna say that if JJ had lived, I would not be as disappointed with Giara as I am. I would be disappointed, but not as much, because we had improvement in certain areas. Like JJ came and instantly spoke to her. We had two scenes where he like opened up to her and talked to her about what is happening and how he's feeling about it, which the earlier JJ would not have. He would have blocked her out completely, and which is also what all of us were expecting to happen, that he would shut her away, but he did not. To the point where he was okay to talk to her about it, but he still didn't want the rest of them to know. That's a big improvement for them, honestly. Also, the last episode, like we got some pretty good Giara moments with the wish thing, the way he was dying. Physically, I wish they'd done more. She should have been closer to him. She should have attacked Croft as soon as he knifed her. She just stood there like an NPC for God knows what reason. They should have kissed. Something, she could have cried harder. All of those things could have happened, but we did get some really heartwarming moments between them in the last episode. I just can't really accept them fully because of the fact that he died. Don't understand how you fuck up a ship this bad, to be honest. Like, it's not that hard. Another thing to add here is that JJ has always been the protective boyfriend. He's always had the touch her and you die energy around Kiara. And we got that scene in season 4, part 1, where he tells her that don't worry, Ki, he won't get near you. I can guarantee that. Like, he was fully ready to go ham on Rafe if he tried to do something to Kiara. And then part 2, Kiara says, oh, Rafe came by the way, and we don't even get the camera on Rudy during that scene. Nothing about that. They have a whole arc with Rafe and nothing. I talked about the ending as well, where like Kiara just stood by. Kiara was just standing while he got knifed. Honestly sickening that you were not only able to just think of these things but also go through with them. An absolute shame. Also, so much wasted potential on their way to Morocco. Like, Kiara should have been with JJ. They should have been trying to have conversations. Nothing. Not a single interaction between them. I'm so done. JJ already died multiple times. He's just been near death, near death, near death constantly. The whole town hates him and thinks he's a murderer. Literally, truly could not go lower. Right before the Morocco arc, seeing how he's just those scenes where he's talking about how he might as well just die, they might as well just shoot him. He wouldn't care. Enough. Enough. There's only so much torture you can put a character through. Seriously. So many issues I have with the JJ death scene. Okay, so let's talk about it. The entire end with JJ's death, so many issues, so let's finally get into all of it. What was the point of introducing this new storyline if you were gonna kill JJ off? Like, this entire insane arc of his new family and new treasure, all these high stakes, all for what? If JJ's gonna die. This is supposed to be his plot line. The blue crown is supposed to be his plot line. The connection with Groff is his, and he won't even be there for season 5 to carry all of it through. Like, they're gonna continue finding Blue Crown, and it was always meant to be his. His legacy, whatever happened to that, his entire family arc remains incomplete. This entire thing, like, We've gone through main character deaths before. At least I have. I'm a reader. I've gone through multiple main character deaths. And a lot of the times they're pretty devastating and stay with me for a very long time. But the problem here is it's not just that it's devastating, it is, but it's also so unnecessary and such a disservice that it's infuriating. It makes me angry. It makes a lot of us angry. And that's exactly what it is. It's a disservice. It's a disservice to JJ and his legacy. His arc was never fulfilled. There's a difference between maybe killing him off at the very end of the entire show and having completed the arc properly, like given a full end, which again I would not have accepted because a character like him who's gone through so much could only ever have a happy ending. But his arc is fully incomplete. The journey he's supposed to have, the growth he's supposed to have, Luke still had something to say to JJ when JJ ran away from him. What was that something? And don't you dare tell me it was about the Dawn Council thing, because I'm pretty sure that happened after this. There's no way that happened before it. So, what was it? You throw that, oh, there's something else, and then you kill him? The entire Godfather plot, you introduce that, and he'll never get to be that. I feel like I was a different person on 6th November and I'm something else now. Yeah. What was the point of the Godfather thing? Why introduce that then? Just to make it more heartbreaking? Doing all of this just to make it more heartbreaking? Like I saw in the interviews, even the creators, the writers and the director talked about how the way JJ dies seems kind of pointless because he saved Kiara, he gave the crown, and then Groff kills him anyway. And that's why it hits so hard, it creates hate for the character Groff, and that's what the point was. So even it was pointless. Like killing off the heart of the show, your fan favorite, in such a terrible way. Like genuinely, I feel like this is my villain origin story. I have never made a video filled with this much hate before on YouTube. I've read pretty terrible books in the time I started my channel. Some pretty terrible books, but this is the most scathing I've ever been because genuinely, what the fuck? The Jiara treatment. Seriously, I am usually someone who's like, whether on Twitter or here on YouTube or Instagram, I will not talk about the actors and their personal issues or whatever online on a public platform. And I'm gonna try my best not indulge in that too much right now as well. But genuinely, I am a little mad at the actors. A lot mad actually. If you knew that Jade is gonna die, can you at least not do some justice to the Jiara arc? Do something, give us something. All the talk about every time Rudy Panko talks about his character and Madison Beale talks about her character, you can tell how much they genuinely think about the characters and how attached to them they are. Would you not want them to have a fulfilling arc? How could you do this? So, in short, he was abused all his life by his dad, and then he finds out he's a new dad who kills him, has zero family left. His folks, who were his family, haven't been the most understanding towards him. He's gone, and he wasn't even on the best terms with all of them completely. Kiara is left without him. His arc remains incomplete. He got no justice. He got no fulfillment. All he ever wanted in life was to live in Poglandia, live with his friends, be happy, want his family, go on a surf trip with Kiara. Did not get that. Simplest things is what he wanted. Did not get that. He lost his home. That's another thing I forgot to mention. He lost his fucking home. He was finally able to rebuild the home. He grew up in such an abusive household and he was able to rebuild that, turn that into something different, what he always wanted, his family, his real Hogue family. And then he lost that as well. Seriously, I have never seen a character lose that much. Everyone back home, the town he grew up in, all the people around him hate him and think he's a murderer. And then they buried him in Morocco in an unmarked grave, far away from his real home. So the Pogues will never be able to visit him. Do not go on your platforms on Cosmopolitan and shit like that and talk about how much you love this character, because this is not what love looks like. It's just insane because OBX was never the kind of show. Some shows are that way where you're just like, yeah, we're gonna have character deaths and it makes sense. But OBX was never the kind of show to have character deaths, main character deaths. It never was that serious. It was supposed to be about friends, these teenagers on a treasure hunt, having their best summer life, and aspiring to have a good time all the time. That's what the show was supposed to be. And you go and kill off the one character. Like JJ is to OBX what Styles was to Teen Wolf. How do you kill Styles? Yeah. How does that happen? Also, you wanna tell me that John B saved Sarah in season 2? She literally took a bullet, died. Quite literally, actually, died for a couple of minutes and came back to life. And JJ died from a stab wound in 30 seconds, and none of them tried to take him to a hospital. Fuck you, OBX. Genuinely, how stupid do you think we are? You really thought this would work? That people would like this? People would agree with this? He never got to formulate a solid relationship with Kiara's family. The last he saw her family, they hated him. Seriously, I've been a reader all my life. I've been someone who gets obsessed with shows all my life. I don't remember the last time, because there hasn't been a last time where I was so mad at a show or a book about the way they ended a character's arc, because this is genuinely a fuck you to the fans. That's exactly what it is. I feel backstabbed. That's why I'm so mad. I feel like the show was supposed to have my back. It was never supposed to happen this way, and the only reason this happened is because of the personal problems between the cast, and that's not okay. That's not right for the fans. I will never forgive OBX for this. I will never forgive the cast for this. JJ, Maybank, Jackson, Jen Croft, I don't know. I'm genuinely sorry that we couldn't save you from your writers, your cast. JJ Maybank is supposed to be the character that goes down in history, and now this is where we ended up. Everyone is canceling the show. Everyone's canceling season 5. Everyone's mad about OBX4, and rightly so. I am genuinely so glad to see the absolute rage everyone is showing online, because I know the way I feel is exactly how so many thousands of other people feel about the show and about JJ and about Jiara. How do you end up doing this? All this time I've always been of the opinion that whatever went down behind the scenes, the fans did have a part to play in it, and slightly, yes, they did, but can't be putting it on the fans anymore. This is personal. This is their own personal issue, and us as fans, us as loyal fans, who had so much riding personally for all of us on the show, we are the ones suffering for it. The radio silence from everyone proves it. They know they done fucked up, dude. In the news with the spin off that might be in the works, are you fucking for real? You have the nerve to discuss an Outer Banks spin-off after what you've just done. I tried so hard to be calm and collected during that video, or to not be as scathing, but I am so mad. I, like most of us, like all of us, am so incredibly mad about this. Like, you could not make this up, just how much the show is under fire right now. People who haven't watched OBX have tweeted about how pathetic this situation is, and their tweets, people who haven't watched the show, their tweets are getting 100,000 likes. Genuinely, you could not make this up. I didn't even think it was possible to wreck a show this fucking much. The fact that Rafe is getting a redemption arc after everything that's happened in the first 3 seasons, and this is not even about, some enemies can get redemption arcs, but Rafe is not one of them. This is not how it goes down, because some things are a little too unforgivable and a little too unhinged. Okay, let some villains remain fucking villains. I also just want to point out that after all the terrible things that we've seen Rafe do in the last 3 seasons, if that isn't enough, which it should be, because genuinely this boy was unhinged those 3 seasons. If that wasn't enough, Rafe knew Sarah was pregnant in Morocco when they were trying to steal food for her because she's pregnant and hasn't had food for 2 days and needs to eat. And Rafe had money on him and didn't offer it up for her. That's the person you're giving a redemption to. And they're setting up Riara, I'm sure. All of us are pretty sure. And like the fact that the creators are talking about how they don't mind exploring in season 5 about, you know, this relationship between Kiara and Rafe is sickening. That is, you're like doubling down on the disservice to JJ as a character. To be doing that, absolutely insane. They can't make Kiara move on with Rafe, of all people, or with anyone. Like, Kiara would never do that. Her relationship with JJ went so deep that the creators were not able to put across properly, that the cast was not able to put across properly. Genuinely, that's a disservice also to Kiara's character. This is absolutely batshit crazy. I hate that they got away with this. Whatever happened to professionalism? Like, genuinely, like, you just released the show yesterday, and then to release the interviews, we're talking about how Kiara and Rafe is something they would be open to exploring. You have to be so sick to do that. It honestly makes me want to think twice before falling in love with another show. and it makes me think twice of wanting to follow any other projects by these creators. So yeah, I'm genuinely mad. I also have so many questions. Like honestly, we genuinely feel betrayed. We feel lied to. This was supposed to be my comfort show. What do I do now? I've never been someone who was into fan fiction for, I don't even know why, but I just never got into it. But thankfully, Twitter has my back. There's a lot of AO3 writers out there who, I found a few who have, redone the Jiara storyline and JJ storyline just as the seasons are. So you're reading the exact plot of the season, but you're seeing more in depth development for JJ and for Giara. I'm reading those, and one of those writers is gonna rewrite season 4 and do justice to both JJ and Giara and give us a happy ending. All these fan fictions are keeping me sane, to be honest. I am not. This is not my ending. I don't accept it. Genuinely very disappointed because Rudy Panko and Madison Bailey were two of my favorites, actually. JJ and Kiara were two of my favorites. I am genuinely so sorry for both the characters, for the shit that they've gone through in the show, and I am disappointed in the actors. I'm disappointed in the creators as well for not being able to put a handle on the behind the scenes issues. There have been rumors, and every single every single rumor so far has come true. So there have also been other rumors that they shot multiple endings in Morocco, and that one of the endings shot was there was a hospital scene in Morocco, which obviously we did not see. So that hospital scene in Morocco was probably when they saved JJ instead of him dying, and they did that because in case Rudy changes his mind by the time season 4 premieres. I saw an interview of Madison Bailey where someone asked her if she's seen part 2, which was during the Poglandia event, so 4 days before the show dropped. And she says, "Yeah, I've seen part 2, but we haven't given, but they won't give in the final episode." So they didn't see the final episode. And it makes me feel like maybe somehow they also did not know what really would go down. Like they obviously knew, but they didn't know, if you know what I mean. I don't know. The way the cast, the creators, the OBX accounts have been dead silent since the show dropped. Like literally the OBX accounts on Twitter and Instagram just announced that part 2 is out and that's it. And that's never the case. They're always interacting. The cast's always announcing and promoting the show. Nothing, zero, radio silence for every single one of them. The OBX Twitter would always be responding to everyone on Twitter. They were replying to everyone constantly, talking about it, joking around. Nothing, zero. They know what they've done. Fact that major news articles are coming about and talking about how the fans are enraged about OBX ending and talking about the personal feud that went down behind the scenes. Like this is kind of insane. The last time I remember people being this enraged about an ending was Pretty Little Liars, dude. Where there was anger, it wasn't devastation. This is anger and devastation because so much potential for JJ and it's all gone. I connected to OBX for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons was that it was my dream life. I connected to JJ for so many reasons, saw myself in him so much. I don't know what to do with this now. If I really, really, really love a show or a book, I do tend to get obsessive about it. But I haven't been obsessive about a show, barring Stranger Things. That's also something I'm obsessed with. But barring Stranger Things, I haven't been obsessed with a show this much since my teen years. And I haven't been there with a show since its very beginning. Every other show that I've watched and if I've liked and if I've even loved it, I've watched when there's already been like at least a few seasons out. I was with OBX, like a lot of us, we were with OBX from the very beginning. We were with the cast from the very beginning. So this is such a letdown. I will not be watching ahead, unfortunately. I can't. I can't do it without JJ. He has meant everything to me. It's been a while since I connected to a character this much and fell in love with the character this much. I can't do season 5 without Giara either. This is where it ends, I guess. This is the goodbye. I know that there are theories out there, some people who are still in denial and and have theories that they emphasize the blue crown granting wishes so much because in season 5 Kiara will kill Groff, get the blue crown and wish JJ back to life. And to be honest, even though the show has never been supernatural, I really wouldn't even give a fuck if the show became supernatural in season 5 and JJ came back to life. I genuinely would not mind. But let's be real, that's not gonna happen. And so I'm hands off the show now. In my mind, to safeguard my own peace, this ending did not happen. I'm gonna block it out, and I'm pretty good at blocking shit out. Like season 3, the first time I watched it, I did not have the best time like most of us because of the Big John and Ward thing. and the vibes and just and the cheating trope and just the general vibes. But I would rewatch just my specific poke scenes or specific jiara scenes all the time and like blocked out everything else. And I started loving season 3, and I do love season 3 now a lot. I think that's where the show ended for me. So I will block out all this bullshit eventually too, to protect my peace. Season 3 is the end. We do come back, we build Proglandia maybe. They go find the blue crown, they find it and they go home. Kiara lives happily ever after. Gonna live in my fantasy because this is not my end. This is not what we deserve and I don't accept it. Truly don't know how to end this video, honestly, on a positive note. Like I said, I will not be watching ahead, and I wish the ending could have been a little more positive, but I don't know how to end it on a different note, except that I send all my love to my fellow fans of the show who are also in mourning, because we're mourning JJ, we're mourning the show, we're mourning the potential, we're mourning Giara, we're mourning so much, we're mourning our own attachment, we're mourning our own selves that we found in the show. Yeah, sending a lot of love to everyone. I truly needed to get all of this out so much. So, thank you for being a listening ear, to be honest. I'm truly so glad I started this channel. I mainly talk about books here, but I want to talk about shows and movies as well, the things that I enjoy, just art content in general. Thank you so much for watching, sending a lot of love, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.